It feels to me like this technical progress should be bringing some changes to our educational system. And we can talk about that in a couple different ways. The ground rule should really be we should be educating people at things that computers are not good at. They'll be more productive members of the workforce, but more fundamentally, we shouldn't be teaching people, we don't teach people to do arithmetic for years on end. Computers are just better at that. We should be outsourcing it to them. So that to me implies, again, what computers have not yet demonstrated that they can do is frame a problem, look out at a very, very nebulous, fast-changing environment, realize where the opportunities are. I've never seen a computer that could program a computer. So these technical fields these days can't find enough workers to staff them. User experience designers are in incredible demand these days. So being able to understand what people want and how to deliver it to them, very often via a piece of technology, this is still a human skill, not a digital one. I think the career of Steve Jobs shows us how fundamentally important that kind of skill is. So there's still a lot of room for people. Our educational system, I think, needs to shift to focus on those skills more. And in particular, when I look at what technology can do for education, I see really interesting things happening at a couple different levels. At the primary school level, things like Khan Academy are teaching us that it might be smart to take our classic school day and invert it. So what some school districts are doing is, instead of having the kids sit in orderly rows and watch the teacher deliver a lecture, have the kid watch the lecture delivered by one of the best teachers around, online, at home, absorb at his or her own pace. Then what we do during the school day is come together and work on problems together. Now that's almost a complete inversion, because it used to be that you did your homework and tried to solve your problems by yourself alone in the evening, and you sat in rows and listened to lectures during the day. I think that's fairly inefficient, kind of backward, and in this digitally facilitated world, we have the opportunity to shift that around, which is really interesting. At the level of the university or higher ed, we see some of the same things happening, and one of the most fascinating experiments that I see taking place these days is with MOOCs, which are massive open online courses taught by people. They kind of got started at Stanford, so taught by people like Peter Norvig and Andrew Ng and Sebastian Thrun, real rock stars in artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer science. They had the idea a while back to take the actual courses that they teach at Stanford, for example, and digitize them. And digitize doesn't just mean take the lecture and put it up online, because they learned very quickly people can't watch an hour worth of video at a time. So they have taken their lectures, they've broken them up into very small chunks, delivered via video. At the end of every one of the chunks, they ask a question to the audience at large, keeps people engaged, keeps the learning on track. One of the early times they offered a MOOC, they had 100,000 people around the world sign up to take the course. 23,000 of them stuck around all the way through and took the final exam, because they offered the same final exam that they did to their computer science undergrads at Stanford. The statistic that I heard that still blows me away is that the #1 score among the Stanford kids on the final exam for this course, so the #1 score by a student in the computer science department at Stanford. This person has passed through a very fine screen, clearly a smart person. The top Stanford score was about number 400 on the list of scores overall. So we have an ability to reach out, let people consume this material, and let them manifest how well they've mastered it. What we learn is that there really is a global pool of smart, talented, tenacious people who are willing to do the work required to master this material. Fantastic, let's get that material out in front of them. And I'm really heartened by the open courseware initiatives that MIT has announced recently, going way beyond our first efforts, which have been up for about a decade, and trying to take another look at how we take all the amazing intellectual teaching content at MIT, get it out there for the world to consume in a way that's going to be as effective as possible. By all means, let's do that.